fee.
That's 100% correct. You have the technical documentation, and somewhere in here, there's a flow chart on page 2, and we're right about here. Now, if the county and the Ukiah City Council want to proceed, it's going to be up to them to carry it from here and go ahead and finish out the process. What we have provided is the technical study, and then it's going to be up to this board and the Ukiah City Council to decide whether or not they want to proceed with these fees. One thing that I don't think Julie said was the fees are identified in the study. These are the maximum amount of fees that can be charged because of this nexus study. You cannot go above that, but certainly you could go below that amount, whatever fees that are deemed to be reasonable by your board and the Ukiah City Council. The important thing that in proceeding that I think is needed is that if you come to some kind of a consensus to proceed, that fee be consistent, as Julie said, across the county line and the city limits. It's not only to make things easier, it's to preclude the direction of development in the Ukiah Valley. If one entity elects to adopt a fee lower than the other, then that's may influence where the development goes, and I think that's the last thing you want to see happen. You want to see it go in the most logical place. But this is the first step. We are done. The Council of Governments has accepted this study, and we are trying to get rid of Julie, and we've been had some delays in trying to get these board presentations at your board and the city council, and she's going to make this presentation tomorrow night. I had hoped to at one time to kind of consolidate it to try to arrange a joint meeting, but those are very difficult between the board and the city council. Didn't work out, but we are at the end of the contract period, and we need to move this on so that both these entities can consider it. I just want to add one more thing, that during the process, when it came down to the draft report, when that was first prepared this summer, I had asked for volunteers from the MCOG board, and one from that happened to be also a Board of Supervisors member, and one from the representative from the Ukiah City Council that serves on MCOG, John McCowan. And John, Mr. Pinches agreed to represent MCOG at that meeting, and so I thought it was important to have at least two of our MCOG members, the ones representing the two entities that may be involved, to have a little preview of what all this was about. So I didn't bring that about.
All right. Supervisor Delwer, and then the CEO.
And Supervisor Pinches looks so excited about that, too.
Well,
No, that wasn't an invitation to speak. I appreciate all the work that MCOG's put into this, and of course the consultant, but I do kind of see this as a disincentive to, in these economic times, of doing business in this county, in this valley. It really is. And you should, of course, $14,000 fee on top of a house. You should have been here this morning. It's half of what we were doing inclusionary housing, so I guess you're coming in on the low ball side of the thing. So add the 30, then 50, and 14. We're getting up there to the cost of a house just in fees.
Fire district fees.
Oh, yeah, it's you mentioned that these are developer fees that are paying for the extension of Airport Park Boulevard, and I think what the chair was referring to is the developer that profits from the development was supposed to pay for that, not the developer who's building a house in Calpella, which happens to be in the UVAP area, which is a whole other story, because Calpella doesn't belong in the UVAP area. But
Yep.
I've
Yeah,
lost
I
yet. I won
understood
that battle, but I can't seem to get staff to understand that I won that battle. The Brush Street widening was actually supposed to be on the city's back at one point in time, and due to a series of unfortunate events, I think that was a movie or something, that has never occurred. So I like the list of projects, but I think there's some history involved with a lot of those that may find other sources to get those to happen. But I'm glad that this has been put together, but I just, at this point in time, obviously, we're not going to be making the decision. This board's not going to make the decision, but I surely hope that the future board doesn't necessarily buy into this is to the degree that's being proposed here, because I think that's economically devastating to this valley.
Well, Julie and I talked about this and before she came up here, and obviously our timing is just great, isn't it? But on the other hand, there isn't any good time. If we were standing up here 3 years ago, there's no doubt in my military mind that one or two of you would say, things are booming. Are you trying to kill us by doing fees? But once again, this is an option for you to consider. We've looked at everything. We looked at a transportation sales tax several years ago, and we have a real good understanding of what the needs are. And there's very limited options of how to pay for some of these improvements. And we're not getting too much help from the federal government or the state right now. This is a local option for you to consider and implement, or consider and reject.